Do you know what? We talk a lot about health, wealth, and mindset on Shed Talk. But there's something that actually came across my desk the other day that actually blew me away. A world record holder. What does it take to be a world record holder? What does it take in your mind to be the best of the best? Our next guest is Heather MacDonald. Now, she didn't just make a world record. She is the world record.
Creating curiosity by asking better questions. This is Shed Talk.
Welcome, Heather, on board of Shed Talk. How are
Hi,
you?
thanks for having me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for joining me. And I'm going to start right into this because it's so exciting to listen to what you did and talk about what was the record hold for the world record, what it was.
So the old record was 585, and my goal was to do 600, and I finished with 642.
Now, everyone's wondering, well, okay, you did the world record, but what was it? What was the actual event?
Oh, sorry. The world record was for spin classes in a year.
So you did 642 spin classes in a whole year.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, why?
It was really just a personal goal. Like, I was never somebody that in my life said I was going to hit a world record. I actually am not even someone that would call myself competitive or athletic. But something clicked for me taking spin classes a couple years ago, and all of a sudden, I guess I'm athletic and competitive. So that was sort of where it came from.
So you're going to go in there, and here you are. You're. What do you do for a living right now?
I'm a hairstylist.
So you're a hairstylist. So you're not even a professional athlete.
Nope.
Okay? But you got the determination and the mindset to actually put yourself on a bike. And how many days, like how to go through that whole process from waking up in the morning, like a whole day routine? What does that look like?
So it was a little different every day. On Saturdays and Sundays, each day I would do an 8:30, 9:30, and 10:30 class. And then on Mondays, I would do like 9:30, 12:30, 5:30, 6:30. Tuesday, Wednesday was 5:30 and 6:30. Thursday mornings was 9:30, and I would take Fridays off spin. And my work days are Tuesday to Saturday.
So during that whole process, what was the hardest point in doing it? And I know, did you set yourself up for the world record right at the beginning? Say, I'm going to do a world record. That's all there is to it. Or
Yeah, absolutely. I had made a personal goal of 100 classes in 100 days, and I did it. And I thought, well, like, what's the world record? And I Googled that it was 585, and I just thought, well, I'll apply for 600 and see what happens. So I actually got approved in April 2023, and then I waited to start till September. I was just trying to figure out, I think September, I've got a kid or teenager, that's sort of that back to school. That's sort of the beginning of the year for a lot of people, and that's just seemed the most logical time to start. So yeah, I absolutely built up to it.
So let's talk a little bit about that world record. So what happened is, and a lot of people are going, wow, you got the Guinness Book of World Records for the spin classes at 642. Now, what's really interesting about the spin class is that you actually have to prep to let them know that you're going to do a world record. It's not all of a sudden you do it. What's that process of getting the prep work for a world record?
So you have to apply and have them approve it. And then once they approve it, they'll send you a rule of what you need to do for your specific world record. So for mine, what I had to do is I had to video record the first 2 to 3 minutes of every class. I had to have a written logbook that was signed by either the instructor or the front desk for every class. I had to have a copy of the certification for all of the instructors whose classes I took. I had to have 2 independent witnesses verify the videos. I had to have professional pictures done because if you're not guaranteed to be in the book, but if you have professional photos done, you're more likely to be in the book. And then any newspaper articles that were done, send them those, any social media you have. It was quite the tedious process.
And how long did that process take? So once you've decided, okay, I'm going to do the world record after my 100 and say, okay, what was the first phone call, first letter, first look up? Like you actually had to look something up. Like you Googled it?
I just Googled spin class, like world record spin classes in a year.
And then how did you get the world, not the world record, sorry, how did you get Guinness Book of World Records on board? Like, did they say, okay, here's the criteria? Yes, they said, here it is. Like, were they wide open about, okay, make sure you follow these rules?
Yeah, the rules were pretty intense, like all like the recording and all that kind of stuff. And I was very nervous because obviously you're not going to record an entire classroom of riders. So it was definitely trying to figure out the best way to record myself on the bike that only showed me and didn't disturb the other riders. So that part was really hard to sort of navigate to begin with until we found sort of the magic trick. And then the Guinness World Record website itself is very tedious. It crashes all the time. So uploading 642 videos was, I felt, more stressful than actually trying to do all the rides.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, here you are, you're doing your classes. And how long is a spin class?
50 minutes.
50.
Yeah.
And then you're doing now, was there an intensity level that they said, okay, you got to be at least this intensity from 1 to 10, or is it just a normal spin? And I say normal because I don't do spin
Yeah.
classes. Is it different categories of spin from low to high, or was it pretty moderate?
Well, they don't like the spin bikes at our studio don't have any type of recording, like to see like your cadence, which I think a lot of pelotons and stuff do that. So this is just riding, follow the instructors. And oddly enough, they didn't ask how long the classes were, which I found like a 21-page list of rules, and they didn't say the class had to be a certain length.
Oh,
It just said that it had to be like a public path, like you couldn't book private classes. It had to be one that like a scheduled class.
oh, which would make sense on that
Yeah.
part. Now you're into the world record and starting it. Now, what did you find the most difficult part? And it wasn't downloading it, but with people like the mindset that you actually had to get in there every day. Because I don't know if you, and tell me a little bit more about your mindset to be able to actually do it. Was there times that you're going to quit, or what made you keep going?
There was never a time I wanted to quit. There was definitely times of complete exhaustion. I just, I have no idea just setting a goal and being really determined to hit it. And I think the more people I told, the more people I was like, well, I can't let them down now. So I think just really focusing on a goal, and it was really breaking it down. Like I didn't look at a month, I looked at a day or a week. Because if I looked at the full year, it was just too overwhelming. So I found breaking it down to small goals, sharing with people what I was doing. Those were, I think, the two key things for me.
Was there ever any naysayers in it and say, "Oh, there's no way you can do this. Are you crazy? Like, what? Why are you doing this? You don't need to do this. It's too hard on you."
No, not at all. Most people were like, "Oh, we see you in the studio all the time. You'll do this no problem." So it was great. Lots of positivity all around me.
So, what was the greatest reward while you were doing this, besides getting in shape?
Yeah. Uh, Really just a sense of accomplishment. And I think I really, I'm in my early 40s, and I felt like this is the first time I really learned how beneficial goal setting is. And so I think really what I got out of it was learning how to set goals for myself, how good it feels to achieve those goals. And I feel like more than anything, that's what's going to benefit me for the rest of my life.
So you've built a foundation of just that first set of actually trying, and then all of a sudden, once you've tried it, then all of a sudden that greatest accomplishment, because once you did the actual spin class and you did it, you finished it. Now, what was the time frame? So you finished your spin class, and
Yeah.
you had said earlier, and I'd watched you on CTV News, and because you're all over Canada right now with this record, and it's to be so proud of. What is the greatest gift when you look at it, that you run through? Like the hardest part, sorry, what had happened was you stopped in September, I understood,
Yes.
right? And you didn't announce it till now. What happened on that part?
It actually took that long to find out from Guinness if I got it or not. So it was every day. They say it takes 12 weeks. So every day from the 12-week mark, I would log on to the website, and it just kept saying pending, pending, pending. And then at Christmas, it said awaiting final approval. So I was like, okay, I think I've got it. So that's what took so long to announce it, is I really didn't want to announce it, and then maybe something in my evidence wasn't good enough. And even though I knew I broke the record, I wanted to make sure I actually had the Guinness World Record.
All right. So that moment in time, take me through this one moment. All of a sudden, yes, you've applied it. You've got your 12 weeks. Christmas comes in and says it's pending.
Yeah.
When was the moment that all of a sudden it was 100% yours? Were you reading it? Did they phone you? And then what was that feeling?
Well, you're really going to laugh because I was in the bath.
Oh,
I just scrolling on my phone and I went, oh, I haven't checked it today. I should check and see. And there it was. And I was sort of got the shakes because it was so exciting. And I phoned my husband at work and I don't even know if he understood what I was saying because I was so excited. And then quickly jumped out of the bath so I could phone and tell a few more people what had happened and obviously post it to social media.
Oh, and that's the funny part because all of a sudden it's one of those things in life that you'll always remember. It's that one thing in life, that fork in the road that you go this way or that way, but that one moment in time that you actually remember the actual event of, so here you are, I'm in the bathtub, here's my phone, and I look at it, and it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly.
You just got it.
Yeah.
So after you phoned your husband, you phoned a bunch of friends.
Yeah.
You're posting on social media.
Yeah.
Then what?
Then I went to work.
And then everybody at the office, or sorry, because you do hairdressing, right?
I do hair and I work from home. So I guess I then messaged my client and said, oh my God, I got the world record. I need an extra 15 minutes so I can phone people.
And then she said, no, you can't have it. Yeah.
She's like, okay, I'll be there 15 minutes later. And then, I worked all day, but definitely between clients, I was talking to people and posting obviously to social media and stuff. And it's quite funny. So we actually live in my parents' basement suite, my son and I went upstairs and my dad was napping and my mom was out at a meeting, and they've obviously supported me so much this last year, and they were the last ones to find out.
How true that is. The ones you love the most that are closest to you find out the last, and it's like, and they're the most supportive of everything you do.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, with this great award, this great accomplishment that you've done, where do you see yourself going with this? Now, personal branding, and everybody's out there going like this because you've been here, and like it's all new to you right now. Where do you see, or what would you like to see? And like anybody that wants now goal setting and to go to the next level, what's your visualization to the next part and your mindset?
For me, I was diagnosed about 15 years ago with bipolar. And for me, I found that this has given me a platform to speak to people on thriving with mental health. And so for me, I'd really be able to take this and be able to speak to more people about what I've done, how goal setting has really helped me, how exercise has really helped me. So that's really what I'd like to do with it. If I get a free pair of spin shoes out of the deal, I won't complain. But that's really what I'd like to do. I'd like to be able to speak to my personal experience to people that are either also struggling with mental health or family members who have someone they love that's struggling with mental health, and just share my success story with them.
Hey, take a minute and smash that subscribe button, and let's get back to the episode.
So let's dive into the mental health aspect of it, because setting the goal and achieving the goal in mental health with bipolar, where was that transition? Like, what was the part that actually brought the two together to say, this is really helpful for me? So other people that are out there going, what's that next step?
Right. So for me, I really found, along with bipolar comes a lot of anxiety. And I really find I got off anti-anxiety medication, but I do find a couple of days without exercise, it creeps back in. And I think probably a lot of people with bipolar feel this way. Even though I'm medicated and I'm stable, sometimes I'll jump into something or get really excited about something. And I think, oh, is this like the bipolar talking, or is this like who I am as a person? And so when I sort of applying for the record, it was one of these, is this you, or is this like bipolar sort of rearing its ugly head, making you think you can do something you can't do? So for me, the biggest takeaway is like, this is who I am as a person. I set these goals, and because I maintained it for a year, I know that was who I am, and I did it. It wasn't something messing with me in my brain in the background.
And how long did that take to make that shift, to realize that it was actually you and not the bipolar part? Would you say?
Yeah, sorry.
I wanted to ask one more part. That one thing, the bipolar part, was that like the guy on your shoulder saying you can't do it, or what we call the imposter syndrome?
For me, it's more like these great ideas, like, oh, I should completely redo my bedroom. And then you get halfway through and you burn out and then everything, and then you just don't. So, but for like, I found bipolar, it would be like a couple months of like, oh, I can spend all this money, like all these like exciting things. And then after a couple months, you crash and end up in bed. So for this, I applied in April, started in September. By the time I started, it was like, no, no, this is who I am. I set these goals. I am this person. So yeah, somewhat of a devil on their shoulder. You could look at it that way.
So when you were in that state and that transition, and you said now it became what we call as a non-negotiable. Now you started, it's a non-negotiable. This is who I am. Was there any time between there that you were going, okay, I'm moving forward. I can't do this. And then, but because you told somebody, how did that go to that level?
I actually never felt like I can't do this. I definitely felt like these extreme exhaustion moments when I couldn't do anything else, where the entire focus was on that. And I did work, but family sort of got pushed to the side and so on because like cleanliness in my house, there was no time. I ended up hiring a cleaner because there's only so many hours in a day. So it wasn't the spin never like that was so focused that it was everything else that I was like, I can't do this. I can't participate in that. I need to sleep through Christmas dinner.
And then when you, so that exhaustion, was it usually on, was there a certain day of exhaustion or is it just all over the map?
It was Sundays. Sundays, it would really hit me. And I would just come home and spin, shower, and crawl into bed.
So you were talking before about when you started to do the spin class, and then you'd mentioned just before we went on air and everything like that, was that the greatest thing about it was you just wanted to get a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
Somebody had made a comment on that, and,
Yeah.
and you talk about that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely and my husband always reminds me of this. Like this was a personal goal. I didn't do this to be famous. I didn't do it for whatever. I did it as a personal goal and a personal achievement. But there's a brand of shoes that we wear at Spin, and shipping to Canada for them is really expensive. So a couple of the instructors and I, we always joke like, if I can get a pair of shoes out of this, I'll be happy.
And it's interesting because when you think about that, and I'm listening to you talk about a spin class, and I'm going, and I know exactly what it is and what it is, and you talk about shoes. Shoes are so important in this, and I'm not going to say the brand or anything because that's up to them to decide.
Yeah.
But when you look and you put a shoe on your foot and you're doing a world record worldwide, you're recognized worldwide. Here's a brand that can only be put on people's feet because they're World Guinness Book of World Record holders, because it's so important to have that stability, that shoe that takes you to the next level.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and it's one of those things that's going to be that aha moment that they would be crazy if they didn't look at this and understand what that shoe meant to you. And we're not going to say the brands because it could
Yeah.
be whatever they are, and I don't
Yeah.
know. But it's interesting to see how that comes into play.
Yeah, it'll be pretty neat. I purposely bought them because they look really pretty. And it's people that have them. We're talking one day and she's like, "Oh, try them on. You've got to see how comfortable they are." And I was like, "Oh, they look pretty and they're comfortable. All right, I got to get these shoes up to myself."
Oh, that's amazing. Now, the next year, are you looking for anything, another world record, or do you want to beat your record, or you want to go to the next level? What's something there? Because once you've done it, it's like, oh, I'm finished. What's the next set of mindset for you?
What's the next? I definitely won't be trying for another world record. If I ever did, it would not be something that took a year to complete. I couldn't neglect my family for another whole year. It's truly one thing I keep saying now is that's a year of cardio. I have to get in the gym. I need to start working out. There's other aspects than just cardio. So that's probably one of my big goals right now is to start getting into the gym, do some weight training because that's such a healthy aspect. So physically, that would be my goal. And then, of course, the other goal is to be able to use this as a platform to chat with people with what I did and so on.
And on your mental health. Now, while you were in doing all this for every single day, the cardio was huge. Did you find that you had a long weight loss? Like, how did your body transform?
Well, it's really interesting because no, I didn't have any weight loss. Now, I don't own a scale, but I don't feel like I have any weight loss. But I definitely can see the difference, like in my legs and my lower body from doing it. And obviously like your heart, cardiovascular, there's a lot of bonuses to it, but the actual like a number on a scale, I don't think shifted that much.
And your body form didn't change like that because example, so if you're lifting lots of weights, rip, tear, grow, they get big, and then all of a sudden cardio, they would usually get smaller, but obviously with defined muscle groups, and then all of a sudden burning fat burning. So yeah,
Right.
very interesting.
Yeah, and I just found you can control the how much tension is on a bike, so basically how difficult it is. And obviously when you're doing 4 a day, there's going to be times when the bike is a lot harder. Like you turn it up and there's going to be days where you're keep it quite low but still safe. And so I do find I would play with that a lot because I was a lot of cardio. So there's days I was like, let's turn it up because there is muscle building benefits if you're doing this. So I definitely within doing the cardio worked on the muscle building aspects of it as well.
Was there a nutritional benefit to you as well? Because all of a sudden your food and nutrition had to be very important. Did you have to dial that in as well?
I definitely worked with a nutritionist for a few months beforehand to just sort of get a grasp on it. I think that there's so much information out there that we have that I felt I had the knowledge, but it was using the knowledge to actually, like using the knowledge of nutrition to help me. I will not say I was 100% on that. It was that's definitely a hard one when you're going as much as I was, but I did my best to keep those
So,
keep that protein and carbs up.
so how did you keep your proteins and carbs up?
Well, I was really lucky because my husband and my mom are both very good cooks. So I was very lucky because I didn't have to do a lot of the cooking. So it was really just, I was like, I just got to make sure there's lots of protein in every meal. And I actually made myself a concoction in my water bottle, which was suggested from a endurance runner. And she's like, put a little bit of maple syrup, a little bit of lime juice, and some salt in your water bottle. And that will help you through a couple. And it sounds gross. It actually tastes really good. And I did find that just gave me that little bit of kick of that quick energy. And then I would try to have some sort of like protein source between classes, usually like a drink of some sort. And I definitely could tell the days I didn't do that.
Well, right. So you did the world record in North Van.
Yeah.
What was the actual spin studio that you did it at? Or
So
was there a bunch of them?
no, I did it all at one. I did it at Spin Society in North Vancouver.
And how many people did you have in your class?
I think the max is about 36, 37.
So you're now the superstar of the max of the 36 and 37, and they have your plaque and you obviously on their wall. Is that correct?
Nope.
Not yet?
No,
And and a lifetime membership?
nope.
See how I'm putting that out there because it's like, oh, wait, there might be a possibility
Uh,
here. Yeah, yeah.
the studio was very accommodating with me for the year, but I would have chose to use myself differently for marketing than they didn't use it at all.
Right. And then now here you are, you're going to go in and what's your biggest social media platform that you want to perform to make it bigger?
I'd like to grow my Instagram following.
And
Which is,
how would anybody find you on Instagram?
my Instagram is Heather Spins to 600.
Heather spins to 600. Okay.
Yeah.
And what about LinkedIn?
And that's funny because one of the girls at the spin studio told me to get LinkedIn. So that's on my to-do list this week.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Now, if you could tell any young person anything that you wanted to tell them about what it takes to be bipolar, and I know you want to talk more about when you were talking about mental health, what is the one suggestion that you would give a young person to go to the next level to look for?
Do you mean like if they have bipolar or like if they are concerned
They can
that
have
they do or
they say they think they might have bipolar, they
yeah,
do have bipolar. How do they know, given the experience, because you never knew, you didn't know for that you had bipolar at one
right.
point.
Yeah.
And then understanding it, and then where you are today, what advice would you give somebody to move forward?
I
To
think
recognize bipolar,
yeah.
and to recognize your goal setting.
Yeah, I think key is to like use your village. So the more people that you feel safe talking to about what you're struggling is really important. And to have them also acknowledge like, oh, you seem like you've been really down for quite a while, or like You've barely been getting any sleep for quite a while. So I think whoever you're comfortable with to share that you're worried that you've got something going on is really, really important. I'm very lucky. I have really good support. I have a wonderful family doctor that helps keep me stable with medication. Don't be scared of mental health drugs. They literally will save lives. They've definitely saved my life. And when you're stable, set yourself some goals, and they don't have to be big. It does not have to be a world record.
That is absolutely amazing, especially to say it does not have to be a world record.
No.
You know what, Heather, where do you see yourself? And we talked a little bit about this. You want to get on talks, you want to talk about mental health.
Yeah.
Where do you really see yourself in the next 5 years?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm not really sure. I guess we should work on goal setting with that, shouldn't we? I just would really, really like to get out there and speak to people and just be able to support people however is possible.
That's amazing. You know what, Heather? I'm going to tell you right now, this has been a great interview. Guys, like and share, press that button to subscribe to Shed Talk. Heather, thank you very much for being on Shed Talk. Is there any one thing you want to tell anybody out there?
I don't want to sound like a Nike ad, but like, just do it.
You know what? As easy as that is. Thanks, Heather, for being on Shed Talk.
Thank you so much.
Now you know. Shed Talk.